Busting the myth. Virtual can be as effective as physical. This short video will address the unfounded claim that virtualized WAN optimization cannot perform as well as physical WAN optimization. The claim is often made by Silver Peak competitors that a virtual appliance can never perform as well as a physical appliance. Therefore, Silver Peak ran a competitive test to try to answer the following question. Can a Silver Peak virtual appliance outperform a competitive hardware product in a simulated 10 megabit per second disaster recovery scenario? Let's take a look now at how Silver Peak went about answering this very question. Here's our test environment. As you can see, it includes a primary data center and a backup data center. For this test, we will transfer a 120 gigabyte pre-compressed database repository. The network connection we're using is a 10 meg connection with 0% packet loss and 5 milliseconds of latency. We'll first show how optimization can improve the initial transfer of data to the backup site. We'll then simulate a disk failure at the primary location. We will then show how Silver Peak's virtual optimization outperforms our competitor's hardware-based solution in recovering the dataset from the backup site. Let's take a look at the initial transfer of the 120 gigabyte file over our competitor's physical appliance. You can see that the transfer averages about 10 megabits per second. This would result in a total initial transfer time of approximately 28 hours. Now let's compare the initial transfer of the same 120 gig dataset using the Silver Peak virtual appliance. You can clearly see that throughput here also averages about 10 megabits per second and will result in an initial transfer time of about 28 hours. Now let's take a look at the transfer of the dataset back to the primary data center across the hardware-based solution. Once again, throughput averages only about 10 megabits per second, thus yielding no significant benefit over the initial pass result. This means that recovering the dataset after the failure would take another 28 hours to complete. Now let's see how recovery of the 120 gigabyte dataset performs across Silver Peak's virtual appliance. Right away, there's a noticeable performance improvement. The LAN side throughput averages around 900 megabits per second. This works out to a 90x throughput improvement over the 10 megabits per second noted on the initial transfer. It should also be noted that only about 5 megabits per second of the WAN link is being used during the recovery process. The full recovery of the entire database takes just 22 minutes. So let's review what we just saw. We saw initial transfer times were pretty much identical between Silver Peak's virtual appliance and our competitor's physical appliance. However, the most interesting results come when we compare the time it takes to recover our data. Recovery time with the Silver Peak VX appliance was reduced to just 22 minutes. This is in sharp contrast with our competitor's recovery time of 28 hours. This dramatic improvement is due to Silver Peak's network memory technology reducing the amount of repetitive data that needs to traverse the WAN link. So, can a Silver Peak virtual appliance outperform a hardware solution? Absolutely. We've clearly demonstrated that virtual WAN optimization has the flexibility and the power to outperform physical appliances.